Hello everyone, this is Math 0028, Section 1.7, the U-Try problems. So our directions on this set say solve, write your answer in set builder notation and interval notation, then graph the solution set. Then wash the windows, dust the house. Good grief, is there anything else they want us to do? It's ridiculous. But anyway, here we go. So first thing we're going to do to solve it is we're going to get our pen, which I always forget to do. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides to get that x by itself. So x comes down and it's greater than or equal to -2. Okay, so set builder is the easiest. Let's start with that. X such that x, and then you just write your answer, is greater than or equal to -2. Okay, now I actually think it's easier to graph it next and then do the set builder notation. The interval notation. Okay, so if we want greater than -2, greater than or equal to, we're going to have, it's going to go to the right. That's the greater than part. And then with the equal to, we need a bracket at -2. So look at this interval. It starts at -2 and it goes all the way out to positive infinity, which always has a parentheses. So there's everything. Set builder, interval, and the graph. Okay, let's look at letter B. To get n by itself, we need to get rid of the -2. So you're going to add 2 to both sides. So those cancel, and n comes down, and it's greater than or equal to 2. So, once again, set builder. Oops, you know what I did wrong? I don't have an eraser, so you got to get over that. It's n. So we have to use n such that n is greater than or equal to 2. Isn't that crazy? Okay. And on our number line, here is 2. Greater than or equal to is going to be to the right with a bracket. And then that's the graph. And then the interval starts at 2 with a bracket. And going out to the right forever is always positive infinity. All right, let's see what's next. Same thing. Solve, give set builder, interval, and the graph. Okay, so on letter C, we need to divide by 8 on both sides. Now, the 8's cancel. X comes down. You do not change the sign. Even though you get a -3 here, we divided by a +8, so that inequality sign stays exactly the same. Less than or equal to -3. So, set builder is x such that x is less than or equal to -3. Okay, the graph, here's -3, and less than or equal to is going to be to the left, and then we put a bracket there for the equal to part. Now look at that interval. It goes to the left forever and ever, which is negative infinity, and then it comes up to -3 with the bracket. All right, letter D, we have to divide by -4 to solve this on both sides. Now on this one, the inequality sign has to flip because I divided by a negative, okay? That's what told me to flip the sign. So, and we get -2. So here, set builder, x such that x is greater than -2. And then do your number line. So here's -2. Greater than, it's going to go to the right. And since there's no equal to sign, it's a parentheses. So our interval starts at -2 and goes out forever and ever to the right. So that's to positive infinity. All right. Letter E says solve, write your answer in interval notation. So at least we don't have to do all the other stuff. Okay, we have variables on both sides. So I'm going to start by moving my variable terms to the left. Subtract 7x. Well, 8 minus 7 is just x, right? 1x, or just x, minus 7 is greater than or equal to -2. Now, add the 7 to get rid of that -7. Excuse me. So x comes down, and it's greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so just kind of, think about the number line. Greater than or equal to is going to be a bracket at 5. and it's going to go out to the right. I just think it's easier to see the interval if you can see it on the number line. Okay, so it starts at 5 for our interval, and it goes all the way out to positive infinity. All right, letter F. Okay, this one's kind of weird because it is technically easier to move the variable to the right-hand side, but because everybody gets the graph wrong and then they get the interval wrong, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the variable to the left, but I'm going to do it in my second step. So don't freak out. I'm going to move this 8 to the right. Okay, so I'm going to move the constant to the right. I'm just going to subtract 8 over here. Okay, negative 3x comes down is less than or equal to 5x minus 8. The reason I did that is now it looks more normal when you move the variable and you don't end up with a 0 on one side, because that's where a lot of people mess up. So notice that I couldn't combine the 5x and the 8. You just write them side by side. Now I'm going to move the 5x to the other side, negative 5x, and it's always easier to have your x on the left when you're doing inequalities, especially if you have to graph them. So that's going to be negative 8x is less than or equal to negative 8. Now divide by negative 8, and remember, since you divided by a negative, we got to flip that inequality sign, and we get x is greater than or equal to 1. Now the number line, here's 1, greater than or equal to goes to the right, and with the equal to, it's going to be a bracket. So you're going to have bracket 1 out to positive infinity. All right, G and H. Solve, write your answer in interval notation. Wow, okay, so we have to do some distributing. So we have 6x minus 15, right, 3 times 5, is greater than or equal to 8x minus 5. So I'm going to move my variables to the left. I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides. So that's negative 2x minus 15 is greater than or equal to negative 5. Now get rid of the constant, add 15. Okay, so negative 2x comes down, and it's greater than or equal to 10, because that's a negative 5. Divide by negative 2 on both sides. Remember, change your inequality sign, and we get negative 5. So here we have negative 5. Less than or equal to is going to go to the left with a bracket. So think about this interval. It's the beginning part is all the way to the left, which is negative infinity, up to negative 5 with a bracket. All right, letter H. We have to distribute on both sides of the inequality sign. So you're going to start and distribute the 4, which would give you 12d minus 1. Oops, minus 4. Oh my gosh, that would have been bad. All right, is greater than 6 minus 15d. I'm just glad I caught that now and not later. That would be bad. Okay, move the variables to the left. So add 15d to both sides. Okay, so 27d minus 4 is greater than 6. Okay, those are gone. Now, add the 4. Oh, this is going to be an icky answer. And 27d comes down, and it's greater than 10. Now, divide by 27 on both sides, and d is greater than 10 over 27. Now, you cannot reduce 10 over 27. So, but when we graph it, everybody's like, oh my gosh, how are we going to graph it? We're just going to stick it right here in the middle of the number line. Who cares, right? There you go. Greater than, it's going to be to the right, and with a parentheses. That's a wiggly parentheses. Sorry about that. All right, so it's going to start at 10 over 27, and it goes out to the right forever and ever. So that's to infinity and beyond. Okay. Good grief, who writes these things? We are going to distribute twice. Now, you cannot add 4 and 2 and distribute 6. That's so wrong. That breaks dear Aunt Sally's heart, right? Or Aunt Susan. I can be famous. We're going to distribute the 2. We're going to distribute the 4. Okay, so right now that 4 is just going to come down. Plus 6 minus 4y is less than or equal to 12y minus 20 minus 6y, because I distributed the 4 and I distributed the 2. Now look on the left, 4 plus 6, those are like terms. That's 10 minus 4y. It's less than or equal to. Over here I've got two y terms. 12y minus 6y is 6y minus 20. Okay? Now I'm going to move my variables to the left. So I'm going to subtract 6y. So I have 10 minus 10y, because they're both negative, so you add. It's less than or equal to negative 20. Now get rid of the 10, so subtract 10 from both sides. Those cancel. Negative 10y comes down. It's less than or equal to negative 30. And now divide by negative 10. That's right, change that inequality sign. So y is greater than or equal to 3. So interval notation. Here we go. Here's our number line. Here's 3. Okay, greater than is to the right, with the equal to being a bracket. Okay, so that interval starts at 3 and it goes all the way out to positive infinity. Okay, J, K, L, L, M, N, O, P. How many of these things are there? Okay, 3 more. Okay, and then I'll be done with chapter 1. Yay! Okay, so on J, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. It's probably easier on this one to just multiply everything by the common denominator, which would be 24. Okay, so that includes that x right there. So you're going to have 24 over 1 times x over 1 plus 24 over 1 times 5 over 8, and then is greater than or equal to 24 over 1 times negative 2/3. Alright, so we get 24x plus, cancel by 8, we get 1 and 3, so 3 times 5 is 15, is greater than or equal to, cancel the 3, that's going to be 8 times negative 2, is negative 16. Now, get rid of the 15, so subtract 15, and 24x comes down, is greater than or equal to negative 31. And then divide by 24 on both sides. Do not change the signs because we didn't divide by a negative, so the inequality stays the same, greater than or equal to negative 31 over 24. And you can just leave that as an improper fraction because nothing divides into it. Alright, so greater than or equal to, here's negative 31 over 24, greater than or equal to the right, with a bracket. So your interval starts at negative 31 over 24 and goes to infinity. All right. Letter K. Look at your denominators, 3 and 2. So my LCD is 6. So I'm going to put, let me draw a line here. I don't have a whole lot of room. 6 over 1 times 6x over 1. Then minus, just bring that minus sign down, 6 over 1 times 1/3, less than or equal to 6 over 1 times 5x over 1, bring down the minus sign, 6 over 1 times 1/2. Okay, so 6 times 6x is 36x minus, you can cancel by 3 there, so that would leave 2, is less than or equal to 30x, because they were both on top there. Bring down your minus sign. Cancel by 2, that leaves 1 and 3, so you have minus 3. Now I need to move my variables to the left, so I'm going to subtract 30x. So I have 6x minus 2 is less than or equal to negative 3. Then add the 2 to both sides. So 6x comes down, and it's less than or equal to negative 1. Then divide by 6, and x is less than or equal to negative 1/6. So think about your number line. Here's negative 1/6. Less than or equal to is to the left. And the less than or equal to sign, because of the equal to part, makes it a bracket. So it starts way back to the left at negative infinity and then comes up to negative 1/6. Well, that's a horrible 6 with a bracket. There you go. All right, last one. 12 and 16. Let's see. 16 times, I took the bigger one of the two, 16 and 12. 16's bigger. 16 times 2 is 32. 12 doesn't go into that. 16 times 3 is 48. 12 goes into that. So there is my common denominator. It's going to be 48. So that's one way you can figure out a common denominator. Start with the bigger denominator, start multiplying it by 2, by 3, by 4, and one of those numbers it's going to hit that the other number goes into it pretty quickly. Okay? So we're going to multiply 48 over 1 times 4b over 1 minus 48 over 1 times 7 over 12 is greater than or equal to 48 over 1 times 3b over 1 and minus 48 over 1 times 9 over 16. All right. Now, what the heck is 48 times 4? I'm being very lazy. Where's my stinking calculator? Okay. 48 times 4 is 192. So we have 192b minus, if we cancel by 12, that's going to leave 1 and 4. So 4 times 7 is 28. It's greater than or equal to 48 times 3 is 144, and that would be 144b minus 16 goes into both of these. 1 and 16 goes into 48 3 times, so that's going to be 27. Big numbers. Do not be afraid, grasshopper. You have a calculator. You may use it. Okay, so I know I need to work on my impressions. All right, so I'm going to subtract 144b from both sides. Minus 144b. 192 minus 144 is 48b. Minus 28 is greater than or equal to negative 27. Now I'm going to add 28 to both sides. That's easy. I can do that in my head. So 48b is greater than or equal to 1. Divide by 48 on both sides. So b is greater than or equal to 1 over 48. Now, answer in interval notation. Okay, so here is 1 over 48. Greater than or equal to, greater than's to the right. With the equal to, it's going to be a bracket. So it's going to be bracket from 1 over 48 all the way to infinity with a parentheses. And that is the end of the Chapter 1 U-Tries. Woohoo! Stay tuned for Chapter 2. It'll be coming up, I don't know, whenever. Thanks for watching.